Hello, Vlad with a new story from my channel of amazing stories from life. Stop talking nonsense. Do you even realize how ridiculous you look? Eduard flushed with anger. No, darling, it's not me who looks ridiculous, it's you, Elena replied calmly. Do you even realize that with your whim you're ruining a crucial deal? Eduard persisted. I understand, I'm disrupting it, Elena nodded, and saving the company. Edek pinned her against the wall. Tall, broad-shouldered, he resembled a sheer cliff, terrifying to be near. Usually calm, now he was on edge. Just a little more and he would tear everything to pieces. Elena was scared, but she wasn't going to back down. Nika. The girl from the street told her not to sign any documents, not even with her own pen. And Elena understood that if a simple request to sign with her own pen caused such anger, the little girl was right. But how did she know that? As a child, Elena was an ordinary girl from a small town. Half the town worked at the city-forming enterprise, including her parents. In the 90s, the plant almost closed down, resold several times, until the enterprise fell into the hands of a strong entrepreneur. Elena saw no point in staying there and went to conquer Moscow, or rather, to get a higher education. I got my education, I got a job at one company, then another, a third, and by the time I was 30, I realized I needed to work for myself. Oh, Alinka, what do you mean, for myself? My mother sighed when the young woman shared her plans with her over a video call. We're not oligarchs, we're not businessmen, we can't help you with anything. Mom, do you really not believe in me that much? Elena responded, offended. Why don't I? I just can't imagine how a woman in business work. Mom, I didn't just sit around at university. And now I have so much experience. Oh, what experience? My father intervened. Having children is a woman's job, and she's planning to run a business. Ah, Dad. Actually, I was counting on support. When we have grandchildren, we'll support them, give them money, and sit by them if need be, he continued to press his point. Well, you know, children are not in my plans right now, Elena answered sharply. What are you saying? The mother gasped. That's the most important thing. So, parents, I heard you. I'll call on the next New Year's holiday, Elena summarized and, without waiting for an answer, ended the call. The parents exchanged confused glances. There were still 5 months until the new year. This is the kind of daughter they raised. She got some blaz into her head, and she doesn't listen to them. Elena thought. Before, she felt like a crab trying to climb out of the wind, and it was pulled back. But now, anger at those who didn't want to change anything themselves and don't let others, only gave her strength and confidence. Was it hard for her? Of course, but Artyom was nearby, a loyal friend, husband, advisor. At the moment when she interrupted the conversation with her parents, he was in the next room. Well, what, yours didn't approve, the husband shouted. They didn't tell her to sit on her butt. Predictable. You have to understand, Elena, their generation is completely different. They were born and raised in one country and live in another. They've lived through defaults, denominations, crises, perestroika. They, of course, want the best for you, but only as they imagine it. Anyway, thank the advice, but let's do as we planned. It's so good that I have you, she smiled. Artyom hugged his wife and thought. They really wanted children. The doctors, however, were at a loss. Even 3 IVF procedures hadn't brought them any closer to their dream. And now, at 35, they were considering adoption, but hadn't made a firm decision yet. So, we're starting a business, Artyom winked. We're starting one, Alina laughed. They had been working for a long time, while Artyom was developing an app that had no analogs at the time. It was later, when he and his wife finally opened their own company, that competitors tried to copy the idea, but that first app became the key. Alina, it's time to expand our team, Artyom declared joyfully one day, waving documents. Did you win the tender? That's great, she exclaimed joyfully. Yeah, if someone had told me 3 years ago that we could achieve all this on our own in such a short time, I wouldn't have believed it. But do you believe it now? Alina herself thought their life was like a fairy tale. Her heart was racing with joy at how quickly everything had worked out. Quote, yes, but not really, Artyom admitted jokingly. So, should we set the hat hunters on the best IT specialists tomorrow? Alina suggested conspiratorially. She and her husband had assembled a new team for the new project. The guys turned out to be smart, responsible, and worked efficiently and quickly. So, in addition to their more than decent salaries, Alina suggested giving everyone bonuses. The projects kept growing. The company's name was getting louder. For her 40th birthday, she gave Artyom a wonderful gift. Apparently, the heavenly office had finally decided the couple deserved a child. And, seeing the test result with the coveted 2 lines, Artyom literally cried with joy, just like Alina herself had a couple of days ago. It's true. You're not kidding? Have you been to the doctor? Yes, darling, I have. This can't be. I can't believe it. God, I'm so happy. Artyom scooped her up in his arms, but then carefully returned her to the floor. So, you're now our most precious and fragile one. I'll take care of you. Don't forget to take care of yourself too. Oh, you're so caring, Alina laughed. They decided not to tell the parents for now. They'll wait until the first screening, then they'll tell the future grandparents a happy story. Alina, I've signed us up for a checkup. I'm sure you're fine. Me too, otherwise we wouldn't have made it, Artyom gently stroked her tummy. But still, I want to make sure our baby will have healthy parents. Yeah, it wouldn't hurt, Alina agreed. She took a short vacation to spend the most crucial period in a calm and comfortable environment. A couple of weeks after that conversation, Artyom came home gloomy as a storm cloud. Quote, listen, I want to tell you something very important, but I don't know how. What happened? Our guys screwed up the project. Ouch. If our guys had just screwed up the project, I'd be happy. No, my test results came back. And I talked to the doctor, and he only gave me a couple of months, 6 months at most. Is this some kind of joke? Alina hadn't yet realized that her husband was serious. No, oncology, final stage. The doctor said it happens. The pain appears at the very last moment. Before, the only symptoms I had were fatigue and a headache, but I guess everyone has that. Quote, please tell me you're joking, Alina asked hoarsely. Yes, I would be happy to. Artyom hugged her. But what about me? She still couldn't even imagine that her husband was telling the truth. Alina, I will do everything so that you and the baby don't want for anything. Silly. Why do we need all this without you? I will always be with you, in our baby, in our dreams, and I will look after you. Artyom said something else, calming his crying wife, but a month later he was gone. He simply didn't wake up in the morning. Alina plunged into darkness. She had known Artyom all her life. They went to the same kindergarten, where they argued constantly. At school, they were seated at the same desk, and throughout elementary school they shared it, competing in grades. In middle school, they finally found common ground and deliberately sat together, while letting each other copy and prompting if necessary. Well, by the time they graduated, they realized it was love. Alina walked around the apartment like a shadow. How can you survive grief when everything around you, home, work, the city streets and familiar faces, literally everything was filled with Artyom. They lived and breathed him. And a new life was growing inside them. A continuation of them and Artyom, which had appeared so late in life. Quote, Alinka, you should eat, Mom coaxed. No, I don't want to. My girl, you're not only responsible for yourself now. The baby needs a calm, strong, healthy mother. And he wants to eat himself. He does, but he needs a father too. Tears involuntarily started to drip into her eyes again, like water from a broken faucet. No matter how you try to turn it off, it won't work. Maybe you should go to work? Maybe, Alina answered indifferently. Things were going quite well in her and Artyom's brainchild. The guys continued to work even without management supervision, they just did everything on time and efficiently. That's why Alina was a little surprised when one of the project managers called her. Eduard. Alina, sorry to bother you, but we need you. We need you as a leader, an inspirer. Well, after all, without you there is no order. Okay, I'll come tomorrow. Better today. Something's going on here. Alina went to the office and saw something strange there. The guys they started with, they literally rebelled against Eduard and his group. Two other work groups maintained neutrality. Well, look, without a leader, anarchy breaks out. Everyone is pulling the blanket over themselves. The work is uncoordinated, the clients are unhappy. As far as I know, the first group is doing an excellent job. They're a proven team, we've been working together from the very beginning. Alina was surprised. Well, then, we've caught a star, Eduard shrugged. Okay, I'll deal with the guys. Quote, what do you suggest? I think you need a competent deputy. If you don't mind, I'd like to take on this function. Quote. Alina looked at Eduard in surprise. He had recently joined their team. Overall, he'd proven himself to be a competent specialist and manager, but to hire him as a deputy, although he was right in some ways, her deputy should be in the office at all times. After all, she herself will soon need to devote her time to her child. And this trip to the office shook her, as if it had brought her out of a state of shock. After all, as the employer, the well-being of the entire team depended on her. She didn't want to lose the project she and Artyom had created. Alina gathered everyone, and it turned out that Eduard was indeed the most suitable candidate. He accepted the appointment with restrained joy. The first couple of weeks were fine, but then it began. Eduard constantly pestered her with minor issues. Whenever Alina was in the office, he bombarded her with suggestions, pointed out shortcomings, and even indulged in criticism. She had missed the most important thing in her situation. All the work groups except the first began to treat her condescendingly, as if she were a useless secretary. Only those who had been with her from the start defended Alina as their boss. At one point, Eduard insisted that Alina not drive herself, saying it was unseemly, and assigned her a driver. And on her very first day at work, the driver caused an accident. Doctors saved Alina, but not the child. And the world went dark again, but now only hopelessness, melancholy, and utter loneliness loomed ahead. Mom arrived again to shake her awake, to force her to at least wash, eat, and go outside. But Alina saw and heard nothing until one day, at her mother's insistence, she went to the office and saw Nika. "And I know why you're sad." Alina was standing at the door of the office building when a child's voice came from somewhere below. "Your husband and daughter have become angels. Who are you?" Alina looked down. "Nika. And where are your parents?" "No parents. They have also become angels." "And who do you live with?" "With your aunt." "True, she doesn't need me." And these words sounded sadly doomed. "By the way, are you hungry?" Alina suddenly asked. "Yes. Let's go to a cafe. What do you like?" And just 10 minutes later, Nika was chatting casually, sitting in a comfortable chair. Alina just listened. About how uncles are always coming to see her aunt, about how Nika is treated like a parasite and a good-for-nothing, and about how her classmates in her second-grade class make fun of her. "I heard Milana's mom say that I should be sent to a special school." "And why?" "I read better than everyone else, I think, and the teacher says so. And Milana's mom said that my clothes are bad around my neck." "Do you like studying?" "Of course." "Again? Dancing?" "Not really. I like swimming more. Mom took me to the pool, but Auntie doesn't want to." Nika remembered her mom, and tears immediately began to flow from her blue eyes. "What are you doing here anyway?" "Well, I wanted to hand out flyers, but everyone says I'm still little." "Yes, that's true. It's a bit early for flyers." "Well, I can just give you some money." "No, that's not fair." "Then listen, let's go to my office. I think I can find something for you to do." Alina brought her to her work. The always busy guys from her favorite band greeted Nika with surprise. "Guys, this is your assistant. She'll come for an hour once a day and help you tidy up," Alina introduced the little girl. "Isn't an assistant a bit small?" one of the guys clarified. "A bit small, I agree. So don't you dare exploit her. Nika's responsibilities include washing your mugs and wiping down your desks. And you could also ask her to carry documents from one office to another. Oh, and maybe go down to the cafe and buy a sandwich, but that's only during her working hours." Quote, "Little girl, listen, this woman seems to have taken you into her clutches," the guys laughed. "I made her." "Boyko," Nika replied. She spent most of her time in the first group's office, and the older guys told her about their IT work, showing her how numbers and letters of code turned into working programs and applications. And after work, Alina took the girl to a cafe and fed her. The woman didn't seem to care at all whether Nika ate anything or not. "Nikus, take this folder to Eduard's office." One day, one of the guys asked the girl. "Okay." Nika took the folder and went to Eduard. She saw a familiar back in front of her and was about to hand over the documents right away, when she suddenly heard something she shouldn't have. Quote, "Alina, look, they're offering us a great deal." Eduard began one day from afar. "Maybe an order?" No, a deal. There's this company, some smart guys there, but they didn't have much luck at the start. They get by on small orders and want to join our company. I haven't quite figured it out yet. Yes, it's simple. We buy the company and get a ready-made subsidiary. They'll take on some of the tasks that fall within their purview, while we focus on ours. And the benefits? It's obvious, it's mutually beneficial. I've prepared the documents, I'll email them to you now, take a look. Alina was confused. On the one hand, Ida Dort, as deputy, had done a tremendous job, and all she had to do was sign. But on the other hand, she had no plans for daughters. All she wanted now was for nothing to fall apart in the next year. After all, that's how long Alina had given herself to deal with her grief. However, the offer Eduard presented was quite attractive. And perhaps this deal really would help them reach the next level. The signing of the documents was scheduled for the following week. Alina arrived at the office, but didn't have time to enter the building. Nika was waiting for her outside. During this time, the girl had noticeably improved. The IT guys thought she was a daughter of the regiment, so everyone was trying to give her a treat, a toy, a backpack, or even take her to Detski Mir to pick out some new clothes. But today Nika was gloomier than a tocha. Quote, "Don't sign documents with someone else's pen," she suddenly declared. What? Alina thought she'd misheard. Don't take someone else's pen, you can't. Fine, Alina shrugged. Everything in the meeting room had gone wrong from the start. First, the secretary confused who got the tea and who the coffee. Then some strange clause appeared in the documents, and finally, she was asked to sign with a company representative's pen. It was in a transparent case, so pretty. And then Alina remembered the warning. Quote, "I think I'll sign with mine," she smiled. "I insist," the man replied as politely as possible. "No, thank you. I just think my pen brings good luck." And yet, it's true. If you insist so categorically, then I refuse to sign the documents. Goodbye. Alina stood up and left the office. Eduard rushed out after her. He literally pinned her against the wall and, breathing heavily, declared that she was a short-sighted fool who didn't understand the concept of Vaikotki. She went over the documents in her head again. Today's ones had one additional sheet, which, well, definitely wasn't in the first version. And this document listed the name Tikhomirov Aya, the name of the company owner, Eduard's name. And then everything fell into place. And the talk of luck, and the hasty deal. But what was wrong with the pen? Do you even understand that you're ruining a crucial deal? Eduard didn't back down. I understand, and I'm saving the company, Alina nodded. I'll get it anyway, Eduard hissed angrily. She pushed the plain Zolovakimism away from her and left the office. Nika was waiting for her outside. Did you sign? The girl asked. No, that's good. Why? I was delivering the documents, and Eduard was talking to Uncle on the phone and said, I already have the pen with the disappearing ink, and in 3 days there won't be a signature, but Dare's contract will appear. I didn't understand what that meant, but I remembered. I see. He seemed to want to appropriate the company. Yes, that's what he said. A bird in its beak brought it. Alina had no choice but to call security and throw Eduard out into the street. There was nothing to charge, after all, no crime had been committed. However, a couple of months later, she learned that Eduard had been caught red-handed, so he was facing trial for fraud. But that no longer bothered her, since Alina was trying to get custody through the courts. Nika. The guys from her first work group were witnesses. They said no one was interested in the girl. How Nika had transformed, how they cared for her. What can I say? Everyone insisted that the little girl needed to be saved from her aunt's grief. It took, however, 6 months for Nika to finally cross the threshold of Alina's home as a daughter. But it was all worth it. Alina watched the little girl draw at the table and, for the first time in a long time, felt like she had a family again. 2 lonely hearts, who had endured much suffering, had finally found each other. And it was their victory. If you like this story, please support me with a thumbs up. It's just one action for you, but it means a lot to me. Thank you.